So yesterday, I went to shop at a store that I haven't shopped at in a while. And it's a store that I used to frequent in an area of town that was kind of closest to where I lived when I was raising my kids. And it was interesting yesterday because I walked in the door and I walked to the grocery section and felt a little emotionally triggered. And I had these weird feelings of how I used to feel when I was a single mom. And, money could be tight sometimes, especially when you're raising 4 kids. And I was triggered to feel how I used to feel when I would shop as budgeting my money and, a little bit anxious, making sure that I could get everything that everybody needed and all that kind of stuff. And it was interesting because I haven't felt that in a while. And I've moved into a space because my kids are older too. And, people are doing a lot more for themselves. And some of the kids are talking about moving out. So it's a little bizarre to be in that place. And it was interesting to just kind of feel the trigger and then feel the new space, because I know I don't have to be anxious about those things that I was. I didn't have to get a bunch of stuff. I could actually just stick to my list and I didn't have to do a bunch of things. So it was a very interesting experience because it just reminded me of a place that I used to be and how far I've come since then. And I think sometimes we need those little triggers to kind of help us see where we've been and to actually feel where we are now, and also to understand what we might be still holding on to a little bit, where we might still have a little bit of that left in us, where we feel like we have to worry even though we don't. And so it was a very kind of bizarre experience because I don't necessarily feel like I was, I'm in a place where I have to worry, but just having that emotional trigger. And here's the other thing. Okay, so I'm going to show you. You can't see it anymore. Let's see. I cut my pinky today with a knife, not on purpose or anything. But as soon as I did it, it really hurt. But I got the memories in my mind of when both of my grandmothers actually, one of my grandmothers actually cut off her pinky from the first knuckle. So she kind of got a stub on that one finger, and that happened, before I was born. But it was really interesting because I had that memory come up of being told about what happened to her finger. And I think my other grandma also cut, well, maybe it was her thumb, but she cut a finger anyway at some point. And I thought maybe she'd also cut her pinky too. But I was like, well, what's the significance? Why would I, cut myself and not, it hurt, but it wasn't anything that I had to, that don't need stitches or anything. But why would those memories come up? And as I just kind of let those feelings roll around, it was a reminder to me about how much you can actually change things, that you can change patterns, that myself and my children, we're changing the patterns. We're changing the ways that our family has operated for a long time. And we're all doing that in different ways. So it was a reminder to me today about how much you can change things, and how to, in the last couple of days, I've been reminded to take stock of how far that I've come as a person. And I think we don't give ourselves enough credit, that we spend so much time working on ourselves, and there's always triggers and always things to come up. And it's important to remember that triggers are for us to deal with. It's not for other people to make us responsible for them. Our triggers are ours, and we have to look at why we're triggered. Because that's another thing I've been dealing with the last few days too, is somebody trying to make me responsible for their triggers. And instead of just having a conversation and let's talking about it, and I'm not responsible for someone else's trigger, but I will definitely talk to them about it. So there's been a lot of reminders about that kind of thing lately, to actually, triggers are important for us to learn about ourselves. And if we can stop ourselves from reacting to the trigger, we can actually get to the bottom of what we're holding on to. And sometimes we're still holding on to tiny vestiges of things, little bits of anxiety from stuff that we don't need to, but it's still there as a little reminder of where we were. And so it's important to go, oh yeah, that's where I was, but I'm not there anymore. So I just wanted to share that because I think it's important for us to take stock of where we've been, where we are, and to pay attention to those little things so that we have that record, that we know that we've changed things, that we are changing things.